All right, a lot of urgency and intensity today. You know, obviously we're embarrassed about where we're at, and we're on a mission to fix it. We're doing some really good things, and we're doing some stupid things that's caused us to lose. We all know that, and we're addressing those issues day by day as we continue to build this program. And, you know, we got a good opponent coming in this week in Old Dominion. They're 2-3, but they could very easily, you know, be way better than that. Every game, they've played some really good teams like Marshall and Wake Forest and had the lead on them for a long period of time. And, you know, so really good football team. They've already beaten Louisiana Lafayette, who's having a really good season. And so got a tremendous challenge. And they run the similar offense to Texas State. From a schematic standpoint, it'll look almost identical to our fans, except they'll be in different colors. Obviously, they'll be in, you know, their colors where Texas State was in theirs. But it'll look the same. Defensively, they're totally different in Texas State. You know, they play a drop 8 defense, 3-man front. They very rarely bring pressure, and they want to keep it in front of them and try to die a slow death and frustrate you a little bit offensively. You know, so with that, we'll open it up.
Coach, you said I think after the game that you were going to start looking at making changes leading into this week. Have you made it? Like, are there any changes you can share with us?
There are some changes. I'm going to wait till game day just because I don't want to give us a schematic disadvantage to Old Dominion and put it out there. But you will see some changes on Saturday. Some of those were dictated by Saturday and the Tuesdays and Saturdays before, and consistency of play. And then obviously today will matter because every Tuesdays and Saturdays matter with playing time. And so yes, based off last Saturday's performance, coupled with, you know, the reputation that kids are building, coupled with today's tape watch, yeah, there will be some changes.
How do you execute better in the first half on Saturday?
Well, you know, a lot's been made of that. You know, offensively, we drove it and scored on our opening drive versus Arkansas State, arguably our best drive of the year. Defensively, you know, we for 2 weeks in a row, we've not executed so well. And then Tulane drove with the opening drive as well, too. So that's something we're addressing because it's happened consistently. You know, Demi, you got to look at a larger sample size. You know, I've coached a lot of games as a head coach. We've not had that issue. So is that a program issue, or is that something that's stemming right now, and what is causing that? So we're looking at it from a holistic standpoint and also a small sample size standpoint of the most recent weeks. We did change our practice schedule today. We changed with how we did. If y'all noticed that, we came out and got after it earlier in practice to simulate getting the game started. And there's some other subtle things that I don't want to share that we're doing as well.
There's a little bit about, at this point, honing in offensively on what these guys do well.
Meaning my guys or the other team?
Offensively, your guys.
Yeah, you know, I think for 2 weeks in a row, we've rushed for over 200 yards. We've thrown well, too. You know, we just got to not turn the ball over. And, you know, we got to not do stupid stuff, Glenn. You know, we snap the ball off the up-back's shoulder pad or we win the game. You know, after all that, in a formation that we hadn't been stopped on all year. And we would have got the first down. You know, and, you know, we were whatever 100% on that before that. It's never happened, practice or game. So, yeah, but we want to be a team that runs the football and play actions and drops back when we choose to, not when we have to. That's what our O-line's built to do. You know, that's what we've inherited and what we've been able to recruit the best to. We've transitioned, you know, a little bit to where we are better in pass pro than what we've been, but we're still built with our size and girth to run the ball and play action.
Can you speak to where you guys are with Chris Hayes in terms of redshirting or just continue to let him play?
Right now, we're trying to win every game we play. So whoever can help us do that, he's brought some tenacity to the tight end position. There's some looks where we're playing him. We think he's going to be a great left tackle. If we can win every game and redshirt Chris, we're going to do it. But if Chris can help us win, we're going to play him. And that's where we're at right now this early in the season.
Wanted to ask about just ODU. I saw last week was their first week to have a rushing touchdown from a running back. What do you kind of attribute that to? Is it just bad luck, or is something been missing from their run game?
No, they're like, you know, a lot of times what they do offensively is dependent on the defense. And Marshall played some 5-man box because they do like Texas State. They spread the receivers all the way out. So if it's a light box, they'll run it. If it's a loaded box, they'll throw it. And they got some light boxes last week, and their runners popped it through the middle and made some plays. They also changed quarterbacks, and he ran the new one, fast guy, ran a quarterback draw through the middle for a big touchdown on the third play of the game. And so that helped them as well. That's not a running back.
Well, to kind of bounce off that, obviously 2 weeks ago you didn't quite know who was going to be their
Yeah.
starting quarterback. How do you go about handling that this
We
time?
think the guy they played this past week is going to be the starter. Yeah, that's who we're preparing for. If they play the other ones, we'll adjust in game.
I think maybe today you were working with the defense a little bit more than you normally would. Why is that important, and what are you looking for?
I don't know if I was or wasn't. I bounce and roam. I see things that I think, some of our, our whole D line's back. All of our linebackers are back. We've got a lot of new secondary kids, and so I think making sure that those younger secondary guys' eyes are right and hone in because they're talented kids that want to do good. That's something I was really focusing on today, is making sure they were communicating and making their calls while Dan was calling the defenses, and something I felt like I could bring a lot of energy and juice to today. That don't mean, I was in the offensive meetings. I mean, I'm everywhere, man. This is my program and my heart and my life. So I'm pouring everything I got into all facets of it.
Two more for Coach.
Good. It was quick.
Appreciate it.
All right, great day. Really good work today. Saw a lot of energy and a renewed spirit, a renewed commitment to the essence of this program, what we built this program on for a long time. And excited to play this week. Excited to roll it out there and watch our guys play. We got to continue to work and continue to get better. We've seen a lot of young guys. Brodarius Lewis is a guy on the D line that continues to get better and better. Seeing Dylan Lawrence and Jay Jones come along at safety, and that's been good to see. Matt Riles and Gabe Cavazos are playing a lot better on the O-line. They're two guys that are really bringing it. Jerquan Scott's always bringing it. And, there's some guys off the top of my head right there. Eric Thomas is a guy that's starting to learn our system defensively at that jack linebacker spot. I think he's going to bring some more pass rush to us as the season goes on. So with that, I'll open it up.
Coach, since a lot of urgency on the defensive side of the ball the last few days, can you guys speak to that? Is it alignment, assignment stuff, or gap integrity?
That's all it is, man. Just dadgum making sure the urgency and passion to get the call and do what you're supposed to do so the guy next to you can make the play. That's what the nasty bunch is. The nasty bunch is, I'm going to do my job so you can knock the crap out of the ball carrier. And we're getting back to that. And it's been a great 48 hours of prep. And it's been a great, more days than that of getting back to it.
You got a lot of veterans on that side of the ball too. I wonder who has been kind of a voice echoing your message. You got guys that have played a lot of football.
Yeah.
Hayes and
Yeah,
Swayze.
they have, and they're doing a good job. But I think Dan O'Brien, Chad Williams, Dwight Wilson, Mark Kreiner, Brandon Lacey, and Will Hall has got to be the voice. You know what I mean? I think that's what it's got to be. I think that's the generation we're in, and I think we've got to do a better job as coaches, and I think we certainly have this week. And we are old on the D line. We got a lot of returners. We got a lot of returners at linebacker, but we got a lot of newcomers at secondary. And you can only be as advanced as the person that knows your scheme the least. You know what I mean? And there's been a return to that this week.
What's just going to be the biggest key to this game? What's going to be something that needs to go right for you guys to get back in the win column?
Yeah, we just need to play well. You know what I mean? We need to play well in all three facets. We need to not lose games. You know what I mean? Most games are lost, not won. We feel like we've lost some games earlier in this season, and with stupidity, and we've got to not do that this week.
I know it's been harped on, but getting off to a quicker start. I mean,
Yeah.
What's the key to that?
Yeah, just playing better at the start.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's been different things that happened. There's been weeks where we started fast offensively and didn't in the other phases. There's been weeks where we started fast defensively, not the others. There's been weeks where we played good in the kicking game and not in the others. So just a cumulative, holistic approach to making sure we start fast. But then we got to play good the whole game. It's not just good to start good. We've got to not make critical errors early in games.
Talking about Old Dominion and their running back last week, Callaway, who I think is a Mississippi.
He is a
guy,
Mississippi kid.
had a good game. What are you seeing out of there? Him and just their offense.
Yeah, we've known him for a long time. He actually played for my dad when he was a youngster, and was a highly recruited kid, and then went to Scuba, and ended up at Old Dominion. Really got a lot of speed, and hasn't played a whole lot of carries. But then he exploded versus Marshall last week. They do a good job of spreading you out, and if it's a light box, they run vertical run seam. So if he gets through the line of scrimmage going vertically, he's hard to catch. And he's obviously somebody we've got to contain and get down quick. Because if he gets an open field, it can be dangerous really fast.
I know you talked about having Avery Hobbs back.
Yep.
But just his to see him out there and how does that kind of lift the team up and having him in the locker room, that voice that he
Well, it lifts everybody up, but it's bigger than that. I think as Christians, we're always looking for signs of, not that, as Christians, we believe, we have faith, we believe in things that we can't see, but man, it's always cool when we do see it. You know what I mean? And Avery Hobbs, like I've said over and over, I don't want to call it a miracle. I reserve the term miracle for parting the Red Sea and making blind people see and things like that. So I'm not saying what happened with Avery's a miracle, but it was miraculous, okay? And you could feel God's presence through it all, and I think it's been awesome, and it's permeated throughout our team. We're a program that builds men. We're a program that's turned a lot of people to Christianity over the time we've been here, and I think it was a resounding win for the Christian faith. What happened to Hobbs, I do.
Well, how important is it to get a win on Saturday just for the trajectory of the season?
Well, I mean, it's huge. We want to win every game. You know what I'm saying? And we've let some slip away, and this is a big one. We're at home, and we're not a completed product. I know everybody wants us to be right now, but we're just not. We are a completed product in a lot of facets. It's been well documented what we've done academically since we've been here and how great we've been. We just talked about what we've done in developing men. We're not playing great football right now, and that's something we've got to do better, and we'd like to get a win. You know what I mean? And we're working really hard to do that.
Coach, talk about the focus for kickoff coverage. Anything changed there?
Well, the first thing we got to do is kick it at least close to the right field zone. You know what I mean? Which we've done all year for the most part, except for once. And so that's number one. You know what I mean? When you fire a bullet, you got to fire it at least in the vicinity of what you're trying to. You don't get to kick off with buckshot. You're kicking off with a rifle. And so we've got to fire it where we're firing it. And then we've got to get down there and cover in our lanes and make sure that we've got leverage on the ball carrier, and we've got to get it down. We got to be more simple. I think that's been, there's been a lot of urgency in our program. Our coaching staff feels the urgency from me. Our players feel the urgency from me. And there's also got to be some simplicity. Again, we can't be as advanced. We've got to only be as advanced as our weakest guy that knows our scheme. We can't cater to the smartest guy. We've got to cater to the guy that doesn't know it, the least, or knows it the least. And I think there's been a coming back to basics and fundamentals this week, and hopefully it's going to pay off. I believe it will.
Anything else for Coach?
Appreciate you.
Kind of talk to me about last week and what a tale of two halves it was.
Yeah, I mean, we did some dumb stuff. I mean, we didn't execute when we were supposed to execute, and we didn't slant when we were supposed to slant on pressures, and ball hits in the gap where the guy didn't slant. I mean, just little things like that we've got to be able to function and operate and do. So, outside of that, that was the big issue. I mean, to start the game, we knew exactly what route they were going to run the first play of the game, and we don't make an up call like we're supposed to a corner, and Josh Carr should be sitting right there where the ball was thrown. I mean, it was a 6-yard game, but it's still just the fact that we should have known exactly what was coming. We told him it was coming. So, the fact that, we've got to be able to show up on the first play of a game and execute. We got to be able to come out and play with that fire, play with that passion early, and not have to find it at halftime. That's 2 weeks in a row we've had to find it at halftime and try to find a way to come out in the second half and shut somebody out where, you come out in the second half and you give up 8 points, and really it was on a short field because you go for it on fourth down in that type of situation, you got no choice. So, it is what it is. We got to find a way as a unit. We got to find a way as individuals to show up and get ready to roll out the gate.
To that, can you kind of speak to what this practice week's been like over there? I noticed you guys are just really drilling down your walkthroughs and everything, just drilling down, trying to bring guys on that maybe are a little behind others.
Yeah, I mean, with these types of teams, you're playing tempo teams, so you got to get as many people ready as you possibly can because you don't know how many plays you're going to play in the game, you know what I mean? So, you guys were out there at practice, you saw us. We're out there simulating as fast a tempo as we possibly can in some periods, and other periods we're slowing it down. A lot of that's because of our scout team. We want to make sure the scout team can still give us a quality look. So what I have to manufacture is I hold the signal as long as possible till the scout team's already set. I signal it in, we got a sprint to get lined up, and then they snap the ball. So, you know, we're doing everything we can in terms of handling the tempo. It's the same thing we did last week. It's really nothing different. You know, it's just the ability for our kids to be able to know exactly where they got to go, how they got to get there, and what their rules are as soon as they get in those positions before the ball is snapped. So, you know, the biggest thing with me is we got to be able to get lined up. You know, we're going to play a lot of players. We're going to rep a lot of players because, again, we don't know what we're going to get in the game in terms of personnel groupings, but also at the same time, formationally, they can create multiple different pictures out of certain personnel. So it's just being able to ID that as fast as we can, get lined up, and then execute.
Just you know, feels like that first half against Texas State, there's just a lot of ways they were hurting y'all in the secondary. How do you clean that up this week?
Well, I mean, we just didn't get lined up. There was 2 plays where we just weren't lined up. I mean, the star Markel was into the boundary, should have been to the field. You know, I was signaling the call as soon as the previous play was tackled. I was already signaling the call. We got to be able to get our eyes to the sideline, see it, and we got to be sprinting over to the other side of the field at the same time. So, you know, we talked about it, we met on it, we watched it. You know, we talked about it for this week as well. So, you know, the fact that we've got to be able to get to our spots on the field where we're supposed to be while we're getting the call so we can get lined up, because, you know, if we just got lined up on those plays, there's no play for them to be had there. So, you know, it starts with being able to get a line. You know, you try to create anxiety out here in practice by going as fast as you possibly can. That's almost unrealistic in terms of that, and the ability for our kids just to be able to get out there and get lined up. And if our guys can get lined up and we can execute and do what we're supposed to do, we're going to be a really, really hard team to beat.
Is that you know, just the communication issue, is that more because you're missing some of your key players on defense?
I mean, it can be. But at the same time, there's an expectation level that if you're going to be able to play in our defense, you got to be able to talk and communicate, and that's, you know, that's what we did at the end of the half on a 2-minute drive, and then that's what we did all the second half, of just the ability to be able to get out there, get lined up, communicate, talk, and, you know, if we just open our mouths and can communicate, we're pretty good.
Dealing with a team this week that's, you know, schematically a lot like what you saw last week, tempo again, but now you throw in the caveat of a quarterback who can gouge you running the football. Can I speak to that a little bit? I know you can't spy every down, but you know, some of the things you do to protect yourself from a guy like that.
Yeah, you got to do some stuff. You know, they did a great job last week. They got in empty against Marshall and ran the quarterback draw on 3rd down. So, you know, obviously you got to have a plan for that. You got to have a plan for all the screen game stuff. You know, so we got stuff we like against all that. You know, again, it's I got to be able to see it. I got to be able to call it. I got to be able to get the kids lined up and in positions where they can execute. And you know, the quarterback's an athletic kid. You know, he can make some plays with his legs. Obviously, we saw that last week. You know, we're going to mix up the pictures on the edge for him, make him figure out when to pull, when to give, and all that stuff. And you know, we're going to continue to mix it up as the game goes on. So we got plans for that. You know, we kind of know what plays they like against what. So you know, we focus a lot on that, and they're going to have some new wrinkles, just like everybody does. Everybody's got new wrinkles every week. So you know, we've got to be able to use our rules and execute, and then we got to tackle the ball carriers because their running backs are really good players too.
Does the role increase for Avery this week?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, he's been out here practicing more than he practiced last week. A lot of it last week was he was only in pads the one day. So, you know, he's been out there. He's been moving around just fine, and you know, he's got his soreness naturally that you're going to have from, you know, missing out on fall camp. This is like his fall camp now. So, yeah, he's gonna play this week.
How'd you feel as Zay Franks played at corner?
I thought Zay played really well. You know, he didn't play scared. He didn't play hesitant. You know, it's a new position for him. He only really repped out there, you know, two days of full speed stuff, and the rest of it was a slower down tempo. So, you know, he's been really good. You know, he got a really good day in one-on-ones, I thought. You know, he's a competitor and he wants to play. So that's all you can ask for there. And, you know, Coach Wilson does a great job with those guys, getting those guys ready.
Thanks, Dan.